I'm Sam here, and this is a wonderful piano here at Rick Jones Pianos. It's a first for us. This is a Estonia Model 190 built in the Republic of Estonia in 1997. 190 is the size of the piano in centimeters, so it's 6'3"? Yeah, 6'3". It's a piano we received on trade. We've done quite a bit of work to it, had to kind of go over the finish to make it look nicer. Of course, my colleagues do a beautiful job of that. Got all the brass polished. It's I think, a very attractive piece of furniture. But it's notable for its musical qualities. And, well, as an introduction for those who may not be familiar, Estonia, the country, they had switched hands over the years between different controlling powers. Sweden back in the 1600s, if I remember correctly, and then eventually Russia in the 1700s. They gained independence briefly after World War I, but then became a part of Russia again after World War II. And it was during that time when the government there basically assigned the factory in Tallinn, Estonia, where this was made. They gave them the order, you're going to make all the concert instruments here in the Soviet Union. And so they were very prolific. They made this model, the 190, for the classrooms, and they also made the Concert Grand 275 in very prolific numbers back in those days, and they were some of the best pianos that you could find in Russia at the time. And so many pianists who grew up during that time there would have been practicing on a piano like this, or at least might have been playing it in the classroom. And they became quite used to it. After the Republic of Estonia gained its independence in 1990-91, the company continued as a private enterprise and worked very eagerly to improve their quality, and this piano is, in my opinion, of that improved era. It has a Renner action made in Germany, although curiously, all parts of the action are Renner, except for the hammers, which are made by Abel, which is, in my opinion, an equally worthy hammer manufacturer, also based in Germany. My own piano at home has Abel hammers. I think very highly of them. Well, the difference between them, they both tend to be have a more of a harder felt than, say, a piano hammer made in this country, United States. But in my opinion, Renner tends to be brighter than average than an Abel hammer. And I think the somewhat warmer, softer sound of an Abel hammer especially flatters the sound of an Estonia. And I'll say, this is my first time playing it for any length of time. I spent some time earlier today voicing it. My colleagues prepped it, regulated it. I've never played in Estonia myself for this long, only a brief period many years ago on one that wasn't a tune. Not here, of course. And I'm really pleasantly surprised at its... Well, I wasn't really sure what to expect, being my first real impression of this piano. I've read in Larry Fine's piano book, which is going back to the 1980s, a well-respected consumer guide to pianos that's been published over the years. They were compared to Petrov pianos, which were made in Czech Republic and still are today, kind of known for a similarly kind of a darker sound, and a lot of that's just the scale design of the piano, the way they shape the case, soundboard, bridges, cast iron plate, and how that all determines the position and the length of each string for each note, and where along the length of the string the hammer strikes. All of that is like the DNA of a piano. You could have hard or soft hammers, but because of that inherent design, it's going to give the piano the voice that the manufacturer decided it would have. And that's why Steinway sounds like Steinway, Yamaha like Yamaha, and so on. Petrov comes from a different piano tradition than Steinway and perhaps Yamaha did. In my opinion, there was some influence from Bosendorfer in Vienna. And I do see a lot in this piano which reminds me of Petrov, which is another highly esteemed piano from Central Eastern Europe. But it's a little different. It sounds a little different. I would say it's similarly dark sounding with, I would add a tremendous sounding bass, very powerful, but there's just something a little different about it that I really like. It has a wonderful sustaining quality. I've seen that in Petrov's too. But there's something about the sustaining quality in this piano, even all the way up on the top end. It has a very pure sort of bell-like sound, not quite like Petrov, but unique in its own way. Hard to describe, but let it suffice to say, I really like it. I'm pleased with the way this piano's turned out. I wouldn't mind having it at home if it didn't already have a piano. A very satisfying piano to play with a unique sound. And, well, I've also read in Larry Fine's books over the years that Estonia pianos, after the independence of the Republic of Estonia, as they began to be marketed more in this country, starting in the 90s, they gained a small but dedicated following of people who really liked them. Of course, people in this country are, well, they grew up with different pianos. This piano was not available in the West until the 90s. But for those who had a chance to play them, my understanding is that they're very enthusiastic about their pianos, and they even have, I want to say, some sort of meetings or something, just an informal community meeting where people, Estonia owners, actually talk to each other. You can look this up online. It's a phenomenon, and they're really enthusiastic about their pianos, and I can see why. In my opinion, really uniquely rich, colorful, darker sound, which is not quite like another piano that I've played. Well, I like it very much. If I had to rate the tone of the piano on a scale from 1 to 10, I mean, if you play it loudly, it brightens up a bit. It has a wide dynamic range. I'll rate the tone as a 5 on a scale from 1 to 10, strictly speaking with respect to mellowness to brightness. It averages out to be in the middle. Again, if you play it loudly, you bring more of the brightness out. If you play it softly, you really bring out the warmth of it. But I mean, there's so many other aspects to tone which I have struggled to describe on this piano because it's really quite different than anything I've played, even from Europe. Well, 5 it is for a tone, but it's a lot more complex than that, in a good way in this case. The touch is very smooth. It's a little on the firm side. Well, it feels massive. It's super smooth. It's just the whole course of the key going up and down. There's no interruptions. My colleagues do a beautiful job, of course, regulating it, making sure everything is, all the parts are adjusted correctly so the note plays the way it's supposed to, and also making sure it's lubricated. Plus, Renner parts from Germany, in my opinion, some of the best that you can find in the world. They're very high quality materials that they use. And so when properly regulated, as this piano has been, it usually turns out very smooth, and this one is yet another example. It has just a wonderful sort of buttery, smooth feel. But overall, I do think it has a little bit more than the average amount of resistance in the keys. It does feel more massive. Not especially so. I would call it a 5.5 on a scale from 1 to 10 if we had that here, but we rounded up to a 6. Just a little firm, pleasantly so. And this is coming from me. I'm not used to a firm touch. I grew up on light touch pianos, but I can appreciate a responsive firm touch piano when I see one, and this is one of them. Very, very satisfying to play. I'm quite happy with the way this piano turned out. And it does have a middle pedal sostenuto. I know some old European pianists didn't have them, only had 2 pedals, but by this point most of them had adopted it, and Estonia was one of them. And it operates just like it would on a Steinway, so you hold down notes on the keyboard, press the middle pedal, it only activates the dampers for the notes you pre-selected. We'll also be including an artist bench with this piano. Instead of opening up the store sheet music, there are mechanisms on the underside that allow the seat to be adjusted up and down with these knobs. And I adjusted this one pretty high for this video because I thought I noticed that the keyboard seemed like it sat a little high. Oh yeah, there's even more room underneath the key bed, the bottom side of the keys. It kind of sits a little higher, so maybe very well suited to anyone who's tall. But in any case, the adjustable bench will allow you to get just the right height and leverage when you're playing this piano so you're comfortable. And of course, like everything else we sell, it comes with a 10-year warranty, all parts and labor, and a 100% lifetime trade-up guarantee. Just please make sure you have it in tune twice a year by a professional technician and that you keep it away from extremes of humidity. Doing so will ensure its longevity, particularly the structural integrity of the wooden components. And if you want to trade this piano in at any point in the future, you may do so for precisely the instrument sales price. And all we ask at that time is that you select a piano that's of a higher price. I have a hard time imagining why you might want to do that unless you select a piano that has a similarly unique sound. It's different from a Steinway, in my opinion, definitely different from a Yamaha, even different from many European pianos that played. Petrov is like the closest approximation of what this piano is similar to in terms of sound, but it's not just quite, it's unique. There's something really quite captivating about the sound of this piano. So as long as you take good care of it, we expect that you can get many years of musical enjoyment out of it. So the trade-up is merely an option. I can add that these sell new today. They still make this in Estonia today. Model 190 goes for $72,800. We've priced this piano accordingly, it being a bit older than a new piano, but with all the work that we've done to it, you would be welcome to go take a look at a new Estonia, see how nice they probably are. I'm sure they are. Larry Fine, in his piano book, gave them good reviews. But with all the work that we put into this piano to really bring it back to where it should be, we would challenge you to go determine for yourself whether the new one plays 3 times better than this piano, considering what a new one goes for and what we've priced this piano at. You're of course welcome to make your own conclusions about it, but let it suffice to say that this is a very wonderful piano to play, and I'm satisfied with it very much, and I think you may very well be too. So we hope you can stop by, try this out for yourself. You can play it along with anything else in our inventory. But if you can't make it, you can always give us a phone call or send us an email.